Hello there, and welcome back to AtlasExplore. Tonight we turn our attention to the quiet green companions that share our world. They stand rooted and seemingly still, yet their lives are threaded with drama and invention. Plants breathe life into the air, trade messages no ear can hear, and send out faint sounds when stressed. They hold soil to mountainsides and shade to city streets, and, in their patience, they invite our own. Settle in. This is a slow journey through the living calm of the plant world. Most days we pass by trees and grasses as if they were scenery, a backdrop to the busier lives of animals and people. But plants are not passive. They sense light and the arc of the sun. They feel the pull of gravity. They keep daily and seasonal time the way we keep calendars. Beneath our feet, they share water, sugar, and minerals. And in their tissues, they hold memories of drought and change. The marks of difficult years written into quiet wood. Science is only just beginning to map this hidden world. As you listen, let the noises of the day fall away. Unclench the jaw, soften the shoulders, and let your breath slow. Picture a forest at dusk, the air cooling, the canopy moving as if it were breathing. We are not here to hurry through facts. We are here to drift among them, to feel the rhythm of a kingdom that does not rush and yet remakes the world with steady intention. Though they have no voices, plants do hold conversations. When a leaf is bitten by an insect, the injured plant releases invisible chemicals into the air, a kind of scented alarm. Nearby leaves and neighbors catch the message and change their chemistry, weaving bitter or toxic compounds into their tissues so they are harder to eat. Across a meadow, the signals pass like a breeze of meaning, a shared warning that draws a scattered community into a single responsive whole. Below ground, the talk continues in a different language. Roots thread themselves into the filaments of friendly fungi, and together they form a vast exchange. Through this wood-wide web, sugars flow out from the trees that have more, and minerals and water flow toward those that have less. A shaded sapling receives a lifeline. A stressed elder receives support. In some forests, mothers favor their offspring with extra carbon, and the entire stand behaves almost like a single body. Many trunks and one living network. Not every bloom simply opens and waits. In icy air, some flowers warm themselves from within, turning their petals into little hearths. Skunk cabbage can melt a path through spring snow, inviting early pollinators to visit when few other blossoms dare. Giant water lilies heat their nighttime blooms so that beetles find a refuge there, cozy and scented. It is not wasteful, it is strategy. Energy spent to ensure that pollen meets partner and a next generation begins. Roots grow in darkness, yet they do not wander blindly. As they extend through soil, some roots produce faint clicking vibrations that sensitive instruments can detect. There is evidence that they respond to certain sounds and turn away from others, shaping their path with a kind of underground listening. It is not hearing in the way we understand it, but it is attention, a steady sensing of the hidden world ahead, as if the earth itself were a map written in small vibrations. Seeds are nature's time capsules. Most wake within weeks or months, but a few are patient beyond measure, lying dormant for centuries and then, when conditions align, stirring as if no time had passed. A lotus seed, once buried and forgotten for a millennium, can still send up a new leaf into the light. Deep in frozen soils, ancient seeds have revived to flower again. In the palm of a hand, a seed can hold a history longer than empires and still be ready to grow. Some plants lean into deception with theatrical flair. The Titanarum, often called the corpse flower, blooms rarely and briefly. And when it does, the air around it fills with the scent of decay. To humans, the smell is startling, even overwhelming. To carrion-loving beetles and flies, it is irresistible. The bloom even warms itself, mimicking the heat of flesh. By imitating death, the plant secures life, inviting the right visitors at the right moment to carry pollen onward. In a high plateau of Utah, an aspen forest shivers in the wind, thousands of pale trunks quaking in the same light. Walk among them, and you may feel you are in a community of individuals. Beneath the soil, though, they are one. The whole grove shares a single root system and a single genetic identity, a clonal colony known as Pando. Each trunk lives a century or two, but the organism itself stretches across time, an ancient being wearing many faces. Leaves do not mistake a friendly breeze for danger. When caterpillars chew, the vibrations have a jagged rhythm, and plants can sense that pattern. In response, they fortify their tissues, mixing new chemicals that make them less appealing to eat. Gusts of wind or gentle touch do not trigger the same alarm. This is a fine discrimination, a kind of awareness without nerves or ears, tuned to the subtle difference between motion that is harmless and motion that means harm. So tonight, as you rest, remember that the plant world is never truly still. Signals float on the air and flow underfoot. Heat blooms in cold petals for the sake of a beetle. Roots sound out the dark. A seed waits through long ages for one soft rain. Even a forest's quiet is layered with action and choice. Let that knowledge be a comfort. Life does not need haste to be powerful. It needs patience, connection, and the steady courage to grow. In the quiet language of plants, even silence carries sound. When a plant is thirsty, or when its stem is wounded, something inside it begins to tremble. With microphones tuned beyond the range of human hearing, scientists have captured the faint, high clicks that rise from within. These are ultrasonic cries, bursts of vibration formed as tiny bubbles collapse in the plant's water channels. To our ears, the forest may seem mute, but beneath the hum of wind and insects, a hidden chorus murmurs. Some believe these sounds are simply the physics of stress. Others wonder if they are signals, a way for one plant to whisper distress to another. Either way, the discovery reminds us, the green world is not silent, it speaks. Just in a register we were too slow to notice. In deserts, where rain can vanish for months, survival demands imagination. Here, plants have learned to drink the air itself. Their leaves and spines glisten with microscopic ridges and hairs that coax moisture from passing fog. Each drop, no larger than a grain of sand, slides along the surface until it gathers at the roots below. On foggy mornings in the Namib or the Atacama, these plants stand still and patient, their skin turning vapor into water, their thirst quenched by the breath of the sky. In their presence, the desert does not seem barren but alive with quiet ingenuity. Proof that even in scarcity, life finds a way. A forest is more than a recipient of rain. It is an engine that creates it. Through countless pores in every leaf, trees release invisible streams of water vapor. The vapor rises, cools, and condenses into clouds that later return as rain. In vast forests like the Amazon, this cycle is so powerful that the trees summon their own weather. Remove enough of them, and the rain itself begins to fade. Each drop that falls is a gift returned the sky and the trees, completing one another in an endless exchange. A forest, then, is not just a collection of trunks and leaves. It is a living atmosphere, breathing water into the world. Among the great tricksters of nature are the orchids. Some species go so far as to mimic the scent and shape of female bees. Drawn by instinct, the males approach and attempt to mate with the flower. In the process, they collect and deliver pollen unwitting partners in a delicate deception. The illusion is so precise that even seasoned bees cannot resist. What seems to us a simple bloom is, in truth, a master of disguise. A chemist, a sculptor, and a strategist, shaping its perfume and form to play the oldest game of all attraction and survival. Beneath our feet, an organism of staggering scale grows unseen. In Oregon's Blue Mountains spreads a single fungus known as Armillaria, the honey fungus. Underground, its thin white filaments lace through soil and tree roots, forming a web that spans miles. It may weigh hundreds of tons and has likely lived for thousands of years, making it the largest living creature on Earth. To the casual eye, it appears only as clusters of golden mushrooms on a forest floor. But beneath, It is a vast pulsing intelligence of threads, feeding, expanding, connecting. It reminds us that life's giants do not always reach toward the sky. Some stretch endlessly below in the dark, above ground. Another rhythm follows the sun. Each morning, young sunflowers turn their faces east, then track the light across the sky until dusk. At night, they turn back, ready to greet dawn again. When mature, they settle facing the sunrise, warming faster in the cool morning air and drawing pollinators to their bright centers. This daily movement, called heliotropism, is a dance too slow for human eyes, yet it unfolds everywhere, a graceful choreography of light and time. What looks like stillness is motion stretched across hours, plants keeping pace with the heavens. Though we often say that ocean algae give us the planet's oxygen, in many regions it is the forests and fields that sustain our breath. From the Amazon to the endless grasslands, terrestrial plants exhale torrents of oxygen through photosynthesis. Together they form the planet's green lungs, turning sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide into the air we depend on. With every inhalation, we borrow from them the quiet work of leaves, thousands of miles away, keeping us alive. It is humbling to remember that a single breath carries the memory of forests we may never see. In the far north and high mountains, winter can turn whole valleys to glass. Yet, even as the world freezes, certain plants remain unbroken. Their cells fill with protective sugars and proteins that prevent lethal ice crystals from forming. Frozen solid, they wait in stillness until the thaw returns, then revive as if waking from sleep. Some endure cycle after cycle of freeze and melt, untouched by damage. To watch a patch of moss or alpine flower come back to life after months encased in ice is to witness resilience at its purest, a quiet defiance of the cold that once defined the edge of life itself. And in the sunlit deserts, where rain is a rumor, the cactus reigns as the patient keeper of time. Its skin is thick and waxed, its body built of hollow chambers that swell with every rare rainfall. Shallow roots spread wide to collect even the faintest moisture, and sharp spines cast shade, cooling the air around them. Some giant saguaros live for more than 2 centuries, their ribs expanding and contracting with each season like the slow breath of stone. Within them lies gallons of stored water, a silent promise against the long drought ahead. To walk among them is to enter a congregation of survivors, guardians of patience and endurance. They remind us that strength can take the shape of stillness, and that survival, at its heart, is simply the art of waiting well. When we listen closely to the natural world, we find that it is full of messages, some loud, some silent, some sung in frequencies we cannot hear. Plants release vibrations, draw water from mist, summon rain from sky to soil, and bend their bodies to the light. They do these things without urgency, without noise, as if to show us that growth does not require struggle, only persistence. In the soundless language of leaves and roots, every act is deliberate, every gesture slow and sure. And if we pause long enough, perhaps we too can hear it. The quiet intelligence that hums beneath the world, breathing with us, reminding us to slow down, to listen, and to live. When night falls, the world of plants and fungi does not sleep entirely in darkness. In certain forests, a faint emerald shimmer glows from the undergrowth. Some mushrooms release light from their gills, a cold, steady bioluminescence that seems almost supernatural. It is chemistry in motion, a reaction between oxygen and special enzymes within their cells. Long before electricity, the forest had its own quiet lamps. Modern scientists have even borrowed this trick, introducing luminous genes into seedlings, so their stems or leaves emit a subtle radiance. These engineered glows hint at a future where gardens might light paths without power lines, where a street of trees could illuminate the night. But even without human touch, bioluminescent plants remind us of nature's hidden theater, a soft, living glow in the still air, like starlight caught in a leaf. Deep within an ancient lake bed in China, Scientists once found a lotus seed more than 1,000 years old. It had lain sealed in dry sediment through centuries of flood and drought, waiting. When they planted it, it sprouted fresh, green, and alive. The seed had suspended its metabolism almost completely, locking its life inside a hard shell. It was as if time itself had paused, the seed existing outside of decay and change. In that single act of germination, the distance between past and present vanished. Every blooming lotus since then carries that same promise, that life can wait for decades or millennia and still remember how to begin again. Trees, too, remember. Within their rings lies a diary of seasons, the wide marks of abundance and the narrow scars of struggle. After a drought, many trees change the way they grow. They thicken their vessels more cautiously, store water more slowly, as if bracing for the next hardship. This is not memory as we know it, with images and words, but a kind of physiological wisdom carved into their bodies by experience. Each trunk standing tall in a forest is a living archive of endurance. The wood holds stories of hunger and rain, of years when the sky gave too little or too much. Through these silent lessons, trees learn restraint, resilience, and rhythm. When danger arrives, plants do not scream, they exhale chemistry. The bite of an insect, the tear of a leaf, sets off a cascade of reactions. Within moments, volatile organic compounds rise into the air, invisible messages of distress. Nearby plants receive them, decoding the scent and preparing defenses. Bitter flavors, toxins, thicker leaves. Some can even distinguish between threats. One signal for caterpillars, another for aphids. To us, a field may look motionless, but it hums with alarm calls and responses, a living web of warnings carried by wind. Communication, after all, does not require words. Sometimes it travels on the breath of green things. Not all communication is so subtle. Some plants rely on sudden explosions. As seed pods dry, tension coils within their fibers. Then, at a touch or a shift in humidity, they spring open, catapulting seeds through the air at speeds that seem impossible for something so delicate. A single snap can fling them meters away, launching new life beyond the shadow of the parent plant. It is the tiniest kind of fireworks, invisible to most eyes, yet vital to survival. From the squirting cucumber that ejects its seeds in a spray of liquid, to the touch-me-not that bursts with a gentle pop, each explosion is both an ending and a beginning. The quiet violence that ensures continuity. Along tropical coasts, where tides blur the boundary between land and sea, stand the mangroves trees that have mastered the art of filtering salt. Their roots arch like stilts, holding trunks above the brackish water. At the root tips, special membranes sift out salt, letting only fresh water enter. Some mangroves push excess salt into their oldest leaves, which later fall away, carrying the burden with them. Others excrete crystals through tiny pores that sparkle in sunlight. These forests create nurseries for fish and birds, hold shorelines firm against storms, and turn what should be an impossible habitat into a thriving ecosystem. Each mangrove is an alchemist, turning salt water into life. But not every plant survives by gentleness. Some have taken a darker path, the carnivorous plants. In the bogs and jungles where soil is thin and poor, pitcher plants, sundews, and Venus flytraps trade peace for predation. They lure insects with color and nectar, then trap them with slick walls or snapping jaws. The prey drowns, dissolves, and becomes food. It is a slow meal, patient and precise. The Venus flytrap counts touches before it closes, ensuring it does not waste energy on raindrops. Pitcher plants build miniature ecosystems in their liquid pools, where tiny creatures help digest the fallen. In their ingenuity, they blur the boundary between plant and animal, showing that nature's appetite can wear many forms. Far from these small dramas, the Amazon breathes vast, green, and irreplaceable. Its trees stretch for millions of square miles, exhaling oxygen and absorbing carbon, cycling moisture into clouds that feed the planet. Roughly 1 in every 5 breaths we take is a gift from this forest. Yet the Amazon is fragile. Deforestation and warming threaten to unravel its balance, drying the very system that creates its rains. To stand beneath its canopy is to feel the pulse of a living world, humid, dense, and ancient. The hum of insects, the drip of water, the weight of green above all remind us that the forest is not just a place, but a process, a breathing machine that keeps Earth alive. Everywhere on land, the flavor of a plant tells the story of its soil. Vineyards know this truth and call it terroir, the way minerals, microbes, and moisture write their character into grapes. But the same applies to all plants. Basil grown in volcanic soil tastes sharper, mint in limestone sweeter, potatoes earthier when the ground is rich with iron. Even the smell of a forest shifts with its geology, pine and resin in the granite north, loam and spice in tropical clay. Each patch of earth gives its vegetation a distinct accent. When we eat, we are not just tasting a plant. We are tasting the memory of the ground it rose from. Rain turned to flavor, stone turned to scent. At every scale, from a glowing fungus to a global forest, the plant world reminds us that life is both delicate and determined. It transforms light into nourishment, air into breath, chemistry into communication. Seeds can sleep through centuries. Flowers can imitate desire. Trees can call the rain. None of it happens quickly, and none of it is loud. Theirs is a patience we rarely practice, a deep molecular wisdom woven through silence. As you listen to these stories, imagine the world beneath the noise. Roots threading through darkness, leaves glowing faintly in the night, forests murmuring warnings in invisible tongues. The planet is alive, with voices we are only just beginning to hear. And when we finally pause, truly pause, we may find that the quietest beings among us have been speaking all along, guiding the rhythm of wind, rain, and life itself. Sometimes, the first sign of a tree's struggle is beauty. When leaves begin to fade and burnish red long before autumn, it isn't always the season changing, it can be stress. Drought, poor soil, or too much sun can make chlorophyll retreat, revealing pigments hidden beneath. Anthocyanins, the molecules that paint leaves crimson and violet, act like tiny shields against the sun, protecting fragile tissues and helping the plant recover. What we see as color is, for the plant, strategy. It's a survival mechanism, disguised as art, a sorrowful kind of beauty, born from endurance. In the forest, even distress can take the shape of wonder. High above the Pacific coast of California, another kind of endurance rises skyward. Here stand the coastal redwoods, trees so tall they seem to touch the clouds. The tallest among them, called Hyperion, stretches more than 380 feet, taller than a 30-story building. From the forest floor, its crown disappears into mist, its trunk wide enough to dwarf a house. To pull water from its roots all the way to the leaves above, it uses a combination of suction and cohesion so precise that scientists still marvel at it. Within that living column flows an unbroken thread of water, drawn upward by the quiet pull of evaporation at the top. Every drop that reaches the sunlit canopy is proof of a physics perfected by nature, an ancient, slow miracle happening every second. Not all flowers chase daylight. Some reserve their splendor for the dark. As twilight settles, the moonflower, the evening primrose, and other nocturnal blooms unfurl their petals, pale as ghosts in the blue night air. Their fragrances intensify in the cool darkness, carrying on still winds to reach the delicate senses of moths and other nighttime pollinators. It is a quiet exchange, light for scent, day for night. To us, it feels romantic, but to the plant it is simply timing, an elegant adaptation to the rhythms of the world. While others sleep, these blossoms awaken, shining softly in the starlight like lanterns of living breath. In the marshlands and swamps, trees face a different challenge, breathing underwater. When roots sink into soggy soil, oxygen becomes scarce. To survive, mangroves and bold cypresses have learned to send up special aerial roots that pierce the surface like snorkels, These structures, called pneumatophores, draw in air and deliver it to the suffocating roots below. Walking through a mangrove forest at low tide feels like stepping among a crowd of living sculptures, roots arched and twisted above the mud, each one a testament to ingenuity. Here, trees have become amphibians, bridging land and sea, adapting the very architecture of life to meet the tides. Some seeds, too, have mastered movement by hitching a ride. They grow tiny hooks or barbs that catch onto the fur of animals passing by. A brush against a fox's leg, a bird's wing, a human sock, and the seed becomes a traveler. It journeys across miles before falling off in a new home. This clever design inspired one of humanity's simplest but most brilliant inventions: Velcro. A Swiss engineer noticed burrs clinging to his dog's coat after a walk and, studying their structure under a microscope, recreated the same pattern for fabric fasteners. Nature, it seems, had already engineered the idea millions of years before us. Other seeds prefer to travel farther still, trusting their fate to the sea. Coconuts and other buoyant seeds are built with waterproof shells and fibrous husks that let them drift for months, even years. Carried by ocean currents, they cross from continent to island, from one world to another. When they finally reach shore, they root, sprout, and begin again. The coastlines of many tropical islands owe their greenery to these silent voyages. Imagine that, an entire grove born from seeds that once floated across open water, holding life inside like bottled messages from distant lands. Plants move in many ways, though we rarely notice. Touch the leaves of the sensitive plant Mimosa pudica and you'll see them fold inward instantly, collapsing as if shy. Within minutes, they open again. This motion is powered not by muscles, but by tiny changes in water pressure inside specialized cells. The response, called thigmonesty, may protect the plant by startling herbivores or reducing water loss. Whatever the reason, it challenges our assumption that plants are immobile. Their movements are simply slower, their reactions quieter. To watch a mimosa close at your fingertip is to glimpse awareness, not human awareness, but something softer, ancient, and fluid. And then there is the Venus flytrap proof that some plants not only move, but think in their own mysterious way. Its trap is a pair of hinged leaves lined with delicate trigger hairs. When an unsuspecting insect brushes one hair, the plant waits. Only if a second touch follows within about 20 seconds does the trap snap shut. The plant is counting, holding a short-term memory of contact, making a decision about whether to act. Once the trap closes, it seals itself and begins to digest its prey with slow precision. The process takes days. Then the trap reopens, ready to start again. In this tiny creature of the Carolinas, we find an intelligence without a brain, a patience that masquerades as calculation. It reminds us that the boundaries of thought are wider than we imagine, that even in the still swamps of the world, something green is listening, counting, and learning. Across these stories runs a common thread: perception. Leaves that change color to endure, trees that stretch skyward in perfect balance, flowers that bloom for the moon, roots that breathe through mud, seeds that sail or cling or drift, and traps that remember touch. All of them display a kind of awareness tuned to their environments. Their senses are not ours, yet they are no less refined. Plants taste the soil, hear the wind, feel the sun, and measure time with light. To look closely at them is to realize that life is not divided between thinkers and automatons, but shared among beings that respond, adapt, and persist in countless ways. In every forest, field, and desert, the green world is in motion, bending, folding, breathing, surviving. And if we stand quietly long enough, we might begin to sense it. The slow intelligence of the living earth, moving all around us, one patient gesture at a time. Long before flowers painted the earth, there were ferns. They ruled the planet in an age when no blossoms yet existed, an empire of green fronds rising from humid swamps. During the Carboniferous period, hundreds of millions of years ago, ferns towered like trees, stretching high into the misty air. They absorbed vast amounts of carbon dioxide and slowly transformed it into oxygen, reshaping the planet's atmosphere. When those ancient forests finally fell, they left behind the coal seams we mine today, the compressed ghosts of their lush reign. Each frond that curls open now carries a memory of that prehistoric world, patient, damp, and endlessly resilient. The fern is both fossil and future, a living relic that has survived 5 mass extinctions and still unfurls each spring as if time itself were a circle. In a pine forest, something quieter yet equally extraordinary happens with every change in weather. A pine cone, seemingly inert, is actually a sensor, a living machine powered only by physics. When the air is dry, its woody scales flex and twist, opening wide to release seeds. When humidity rises, they close tightly, keeping the precious cargo safe from rot. The motion is subtle but precise, driven by the way different layers of the cone's tissue swell or shrink as they absorb water. No batteries, no nerves, no wasted energy, only the perfect engineering of evolution. Place a pine cone on your windowsill and watch. It opens and closes with the air, a natural barometer reading the invisible breath of the day. Some trees hide their mysteries beneath bark that bleeds. Cut into the trunk of the dragon's blood tree on the island of Socotra, or the bloodwood trees of Australia, and a red resin flows out, vivid as fresh wound. For centuries, this crimson sap has been harvested for dyes, medicine, and ritual. In ancient times, it was said to be the blood of dragons, or the life force of the forest itself. Chemically, it is a defense, a way to seal injuries and deter insects or decay. Yet the sight of it feels mythic, as though the tree were alive in a way we can't quite explain. Standing beneath those twisted branches, watching red drops harden in the air, one understands why people once bowed to trees as spirits, not just organisms. Botany, too, has its surprises, small revolutions hidden in definitions. A banana, for instance, is a true berry. A strawberry is not. In scientific terms, a berry is a fruit that develops from a single ovary and holds its seeds within. By that logic, tomatoes, kiwis, and grapes qualify as berries, while strawberries, with their seeds resting on the surface, belong to an entirely different category called an aggregate fruit. It's a reminder that language and life don't always align. The natural world cares little for human intuition. It follows its own quiet order. Next time you peel a banana, you're holding a botanical berry, a small, cheerful act of taxonomy in your hand. The plant kingdom, for all its calm, also plays chemical warfare. Take the coffee tree. Its caffeine doesn't exist to wake us up. It exists to keep competitors down. When coffee leaves fall to the ground, they release caffeine into the soil, making it harder for other seeds to germinate nearby. The same compound that keeps our minds alert also disrupts the growth of rivals. Cacao trees do something similar. Through caffeine, they defend their patch of light and soil, staking out territory in the slow, green battle for space. It's an irony of evolution that the molecule meant for defense became, in human hands, a stimulant of creativity, a chemical bridge between survival and inspiration. Where some plants compete, others simply outrun the problem. Bamboo, for example, doesn't creep, it surges. Under ideal conditions, certain species can grow nearly a meter in a single day. The secret lies in the way their tissues expand. Instead of dividing new cells one by one, bamboo stretches existing ones rapidly. A kind of biological telescoping. In the tropics, after rain, you can almost hear it, a faint cracking and sighing as stalks push upward toward light. Fast growth makes bamboo an endlessly renewable resource. It bends but rarely breaks, builds homes and instruments, and returns just as swiftly after harvest. In a world that often takes centuries to rebuild what it consumes, bamboo is a lesson in sustainable speed. In deserts, patience replaces speed. After years of silence, a rare heavy rain transforms the barren ground into color. Seeds that have lain dormant beneath dust burst awake all at once. The locals call it Desierto Florido, the flowering desert. For a few brief weeks, endless plains blaze with purples, yellows, and reds. Then, just as suddenly, the flowers fade, the seeds drop, and the desert returns to stillness. It is one of nature's quiet miracles, an orchestra that plays a single song every decade, but plays it perfectly. Beneath every grain of sand waits that same determination, to bloom when the time is right, even if the time takes years to arrive. The forest, too, holds its own subtle societies. Plants can recognize kin. Experiments show that certain wildflowers and trees grow differently depending on who surrounds them. Among relatives, roots spread gently, leaves overlap less, and resources are shared. Among strangers, competition sharpens, roots thicken, branches crowd, and chemical defenses rise. It's a kind of social intelligence woven through soil and air, a green diplomacy we are only beginning to understand. In this quiet, governance, cooperation, and rivalry coexist, each tuned to maintain balance in the ecosystem. What seems like stillness is, in truth, negotiation. From the ancient ferns that built the first forests to the bamboo that reaches for the sky overnight, plants display an inventiveness that feels almost human, yet humbler, more deliberate. They build sensors without wires, weapons without malice, memories without minds. They wait years to bloom, and when they do, the entire world seems to pause and look. Each of these stories, a pine cone opening to the dry air, a red tree bleeding into light, a desert blooming after long silence, is a reminder that evolution is not always a matter of speed or strength. Sometimes it is artistry. Sometimes it is patience perfected over eons. So when you walk through a forest or a field, try to slow your steps. Look closer at what seems unmoving. You may find the traces of ancient empires underfoot, the echo of invisible battles in the soil, and the quiet pulse of kinship among the roots. The green world around us is never still. It is an ancient conversation, one that began before flowers and will likely continue long after us, written in color, chemistry, and calm. Fire, to most living things, means destruction. But for many trees, it means renewal. In the great savannas of Africa and the dry forests of Australia, flames sweep through the landscape as they have for millennia. Bark blackens, leaves curl into ash, yet when the smoke clears, green shoots already push through the soot. Some species are born for this. Eucalyptus trees wear thick, insulating bark that protects their living core. Pines keep hidden buds beneath their surface, ready to sprout when the heat passes. Certain seeds even require the fire. Their hard shells only crack open under intense heat, releasing new life into the charred earth. It is a kind of alchemy. Death feeding rebirth, chaos returning to order. In these cycles, fire is not the enemy of the forest, but its sculptor, clearing space, releasing nutrients, and ensuring that the next generation has room to grow. Each spark carries both an ending and a beginning, part of the planet's rhythm of renewal. In the wetlands, where flames would drown and air is scarce, plants have invented another form of resilience. Here, roots grow not downward, but upward. From the surface of the mud rise slender spikes called pneumatophores, natural snorkels reaching for air. In mangroves, these roots form dense lattices that anchor the trees in shifting tides, absorbing oxygen during low tide and storing it for when the waters rise again. The bald cypress of North America sends up knees-knobby columns emerging from the swamp floor. Mysterious and still, each one a breathing organ. Walking through such forests, you can feel the dual life of these trees. One half rooted in water, the other half lifted toward the air. They exist between worlds, neither fully aquatic nor terrestrial, their anatomy rewritten by necessity. Each root that breaks the surface is an act of invention, proof that life does not obey the boundaries we draw for it. Every leaf, no matter how small, carries a miracle of its own, Look closely and you'll see that its surface is dotted with thousands of tiny pores, stomata, the mouths of plants. Through them, carbon dioxide enters and oxygen escapes, a steady exhalation that fuels nearly all life on Earth. These openings open and close in rhythm with the day, guided by light and humidity. When the air is dry, they shut to conserve moisture. When the morning sun warms them, they open wide, breathing in the sky. The combined sigh of every leaf on the planet becomes the atmosphere itself, the invisible rhythm that ties our lungs to theirs. In every breath we take, a forest somewhere is exhaling. Even the act of reproduction can be a study in motion. In some flowers, pollination doesn't happen gently. Instead, it bursts. Certain orchids and wildflowers build tension within their anthers like springs, releasing clouds of pollen in sudden explosions when an insect lands. The startled bee or moth leaves dusted in gold, carrying the grains to another bloom. It's a small detonation of purpose, energy stored and released with perfect precision. The forest is full of these quiet fireworks, microscopic flares that sustain entire ecosystems. Orchids, in particular, have perfected a kind of cosmic lightness. Their seeds are so tiny, they're almost invisible, smaller than grains of dust. They contain no food reserves, no fat or starch, just the barest thread of potential. To germinate, they depend entirely on a symbiotic fungus that feeds them until they can produce their own energy through photosynthesis. It's a partnership built on trust, or at least on perfect timing. Because the seeds are so light, a single flower can release millions at once, letting the wind scatter them across continents. Most will never find the right conditions to grow, but a few will, and that is enough. The orchid's strategy is faith written in biology: let go of control and let the wind decide. In the far north, where winters press hard and long, the trees have learned a chemistry of survival. Evergreens keep their needles year-round, but those needles are not ordinary leaves. They are narrow, coated in wax, and filled with proteins that act like antifreeze, keeping sap from crystallizing in sub-zero air. Snow piles high on their branches, but the needles bend, not break, shedding the weight like shoulders shrugging off a coat. Beneath the snow, their roots still draw water from frozen soil. To stand among pines in midwinter is to witness quiet defiance, green life enduring in a white world, whispering that cold is not the same as death. And long before all of this, before forests or flowers or even ferns, a revolution took place in the microscopic world. More than 2 billion years ago, primitive organisms learned to capture sunlight and turn it into food. Through the process we now call photosynthesis, they began splitting water and carbon dioxide into sugars, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. That single innovation transformed the planet's chemistry. The atmosphere filled with oxygen, the oceans changed, and complex life became possible. Every leaf today, every blade of grass and plankton cell, carries the legacy of that moment. When sunlight filters through a canopy and touches the ground, it is repeating the oldest story on Earth, the story of light becoming life. In the heart of the Amazon rainforest, that story continues in scents that drift unseen. Each tree, leaf, and flower releases volatile compounds into the air, chemical signatures that serve as protection, perfume, and even communication. Collectively, they form the forest's breath, a fragrant haze that hangs above the canopy. When sunlight interacts with these molecules, they can help form clouds, seeding rainfall that the forest itself depends on. The Amazon not only produces oxygen, it crafts its own weather. Some scientists describe it as the lungs of the planet. But perhaps it is also the skin-sensitive, reactive, and fragrant. Stand beneath its green roof, and the air feels different, heavy with humidity and the faint sweetness of leaves. The forest is not just growing, it is writing the sky. Elsewhere, in quieter corners of the world, vines perform a subtler kind of motion, a slow reaching guided by touch. They send out slender tendrils that sway gently until they brush something solid. When they find a surface, a branch, a rock, a fence, the cells on the side of the tendril that made contact slow their growth, while the opposite side continues to elongate, causing the tendril to curl and wrap around its support. It is an elegant form of exploration, an embrace written in slow motion. Some vines can even sense texture, preferring rough bark to smooth metal, choosing the grip that feels right. Watching one climb is like watching thought itself unfold over days. The hesitation, the contact, the decision. It is movement with intention, so slow it becomes invisible until suddenly the vine has risen, leaf by leaf, toward the light. From flame to frost, from the whisper of a vine to the exhalation of a leaf, the world of plants is an atlas of invention. They survive the extremes we cannot: fire, flood, cold, and thirst. They build partnerships with fungi, negotiate with air, and communicate with chemistry. Every adaptation is a story of persistence, not domination, but balance. To stand among them is to feel a kind of humility. The planet has been alive far longer than our awareness of it, and its oldest teachers are still all around us, still whispering in wind and water. The next time you walk through a forest or across a field, remember, beneath the stillness is motion. Beneath the silence is breath. What you feel on your skin, that faint shimmer of air and scent, is the living heartbeat of the earth itself, shared between you and the leaves. An oak tree is more than a tree. It is a living city. In its branches, birds make their nests. Beneath its bark, beetles carve secret tunnels. Mosses cling to its shaded trunk. Fungi weave threads through its roots. Squirrels, moths, spiders, and lichens all find home in its embrace. A single mature oak can support thousands of species, from invisible microbes to wide-winged owls. Its acorns feed the forest's animals, its fallen leaves feed the soil, and its hollow limbs shelter entire generations of life. Every season, something arrives, thrives, or departs. The oak is a foundation species, a pillar holding up the architecture of an entire ecosystem. To stand beneath one is to feel time layered in wood and breath. It is a reminder that a tree is never alone. It carries a universe within it, quietly balancing life after life. Some plants, by contrast, survive not by being large, but by being invisible. In the desert, where heat punishes and predators thirst, the living stone plant lithops hides almost entirely underground. Only a translucent window of its leaf surface shows above the sand. Through that window, sunlight filters deep into buried tissues where photosynthesis takes place safely, away from burning rays and grazing mouths. Its skin looks like the pebbles around it, a perfect disguise that also keeps it cool. Other desert plants use similar strategies, transparent or translucent leaves that act like solar skylights, channeling light inward without exposing delicate cells. They are lessons in camouflage and efficiency, transforming exposure into protection. In their stillness lies a quiet intelligence, survival through invisibility. In cities, trees live by a different rhythm, faster, harder, and shorter. They grow tall quickly, fueled by abundant carbon dioxide, warmer air, and the reflected heat of concrete. Their rings form more rapidly than their forest kin. Their crowns stretch wider to catch limited light between buildings. But this accelerated life comes at a cost. Compacted soil strangles their roots, pollution clogs their pores, and the constant vibration of traffic stresses their trunks. A city tree may live only a few decades, where the same species in a forest could live for centuries. Yet in that brief time, they cool the air, soften the noise, shelter birds, and filter toxins for millions of people who rarely look up to thank them. They are the quiet heroes of the urban world, racing through their short lives to make ours more livable, exchanging longevity for service. Even within a single leaf, the language of connection continues. As water travels upward through microscopic veins, it generates faint electrical charges, tiny fields of energy that extend just beyond the surface. Bees can sense these invisible fields. When a bee visits a flower, the charge on its fuzzy body changes the flower's own field for a few minutes afterward. Other bees detect the difference and know that the bloom has already been visited. In this way, electricity becomes a message between plant and pollinator, guiding the endless exchange of nectar and pollen. It's a soft form of communication, silent and instantaneous proof that nature speaks in frequencies beyond our perception. To a bee, a field of flowers is not just color and scent. It is a map drawn in invisible sparks. In the driest deserts, plants become architects of water. They store it deep within swollen stems, spongy roots, or hollow trunks, saving every drop like a precious secret. The baobab tree, with its vast bottle-shaped body, can hold thousands of liters, enough to sustain villages during droughts. Cacti expand after rare rains, their ribs stretching to store the brief gift of moisture, then slowly contracting as months of heat pass. Their thick skin keeps evaporation at bay, while their shallow roots spread wide to catch even a whisper of rain. These water keepers are reservoirs in living form, turning scarcity into endurance. In them, the desert finds balance, proof that patience can become its own kind of abundance. But in the tropical jungles of Southeast Asia, survival takes a stranger form. Hidden beneath the leaf litter, a parasitic plant stirs once every few years. When it blooms, it erupts from the forest floor as a colossal flower, Rafflesia arnoldii, the largest in the world. Its petals can span more than 3 feet across, thick and leathery, marbled in red and white. It smells unmistakably of rotting flesh, a lure for carrion-loving flies that serve as its pollinators. Rafflesia has no leaves, no roots, and no chlorophyll. It lives entirely off the tissues of its host vines, a flower born from nothing, living only to attract death and ensure life continues. When it opens, it is both magnificent and unsettling, a bloom that seems less like a plant and more like a living paradox, a reminder that beauty often grows from the strangest places. Not all miracles are grand. In the quiet cracks of stone walls or on the surface of roofs, mosses sleep through drought and wake with rain. They can dry almost completely, their cells shriveled, their metabolism paused then. With a single shower, rehydrate and turn vivid green again within hours. Special proteins keep their structures from collapsing, guarding them through years of desiccation. These tiny organisms are pioneers, the first to colonize bare rock, creating soil for others to follow. To see a patch of moss revive after a storm is to watch resurrection in miniature, the gentlest expression of life's stubborn will to continue. And when night falls, even the trees rest. Laser scans of forests show that many species lower their branches slightly after sunset, just a few centimeters, but enough to mark a change. Scientists believe this nightly drooping is a form of sleep, allowing trees to conserve energy and rebalance the flow of water through their tissues. When dawn returns, their limbs lift again, greeting the light. Entire groves move together in this slow, shared rhythm, an arboreal breathing of night and day. To imagine a forest asleep is to glimpse nature's patience made visible, the quiet choreography of rest across thousands of trunks and leaves. On volcanic slopes, life begins again from nothing but ash. When a volcano erupts, it seems to erase the landscape, scorching soil, burying rivers, turning everything to stone. But in the years that follow, the first green threads appear. Mosses, lichens, and ferns creeping across the black rock. They break down the surface, catch dust and water, and slowly create new soil. In Hawaii, the Ohia lehua tree is often the pioneer. Its roots crack lava, its blossoms ignite the dark hillsides with red. These are the gardeners of rebirth species that transform destruction into foundation, rewriting the landscape one spore, one seed, one root at a time. Where fire and stone meet, they build the first whispers of forest. From the oak's teeming metropolis to the moss's quiet miracle, from city trees racing time to volcanic pioneers rewriting the earth, the story is the same. Life adapts. It fills every gap, reinvents every rule. It speaks through fragrance and field, through color and current. It knows when to rest, when to rise, when to bloom. The next time you pass a tree on the street, or see a patch of green between cracks in concrete, pause for a moment. That small spark of life may be older, wiser, and more connected than it seems. Within its veins run the same electric whispers that hum through forests and deserts alike, the shared pulse of a living planet, still creating, still breathing, still beginning again. Life, even in the still world of plants, refuses to fit into tidy boundaries. In forests and meadows across the planet, some trees and flowers quietly shift their identities, changing not just color or form but sex itself. In seasons of drought or poor soil, a tree that once produced fruit may stop entirely, devoting its energy only to pollen. When rain returns and resources flow again, it reverses, bearing blossoms rich with seeds. This fluidity, seen in maples, willows, and even some tropical palms, defies our rigid ideas of male and female. For plants, gender is strategy, not destiny. It's an act of balance, an instinctive recalibration between survival and abundance. When conditions are harsh, they protect. When the world softens, they create. It is, perhaps, the purest expression of adaptability, a reminder that life is not fixed, but endlessly responsive to its surroundings. Not far from the world of gentle transformations lies one of nature's most dangerous illusions, the manchineel tree. It grows along the sunlit coasts of the Caribbean and Central America, its small green fruits glistening like apples. But to touch one, or even to stand beneath it in the rain, is to invite pain. Its milky sap contains potent toxins that can blister skin within minutes. The smoke from burning its wood can damage lungs and eyes. Sailors once used its bark for cruel traps, and indigenous peoples painted their arrows with its poison. Yet, despite its fearsome reputation, the manchineel has its purpose. It holds fragile shorelines in place, preventing erosion and offering refuge to animals immune to its venom. Even danger, in the natural world, serves balance. Beneath its glossy leaves lies a paradox. Death and protection, harm and harmony intertwined. To see a manchineel shimmering in tropical light is to witness nature's warning written in beauty. If the manchineel is a study in intensity, the grasslands are a lesson in quiet power. Before cities and plows, oceans of grass stretched across continents, prairies, steppes, and savannas waving under sun and wind. These were not empty plains, but intricate worlds. Roots plunging meters deep, storing vast reservoirs of carbon. Herds of grazing animals migrating with the seasons. Predators following in rhythm. Even now, where they survive, grasslands anchor the planet's climate. Their deep roots prevent erosion. Their soil holds more carbon than many forests combined, and their seeds feed countless species, including us. A blade of grass might seem fragile, but multiplied 1 billion times, it becomes a force resilient, sustaining, and ancient. To lie down in a meadow and listen is to hear the pulse of a biome that once covered 1/3 of the earth, a living ocean of green that still shapes the air we breathe. Within the veins of other plants flows another kind of ocean, one of milk-white latex. In the tropical forests of South America, a cut into the bark of a hevea tree releases this milky fluid. Natural rubber. For the plant, its defense a sealant against injury, a bitter chemical barrier to deter insects. For humanity, it became a revolution. From this sticky sap came tires that carried us across continents, gloves that saved lives, and countless tools that defined the modern age. Other plants, dandelions, figs, and even poppies produce their own latex, each with a different texture or toxin. What began as a plant's simple survival mechanism became one of civilization's most versatile materials. The next time you stretch a rubber band or touch a wheel, remember, you are holding the echo of a tree's wound turned by ingenuity into usefulness. Some plants hold their memories even longer, solidified into stone. When a tree weeps resin, the golden drops harden over time, sealing away fragments of the world within. Over millions of years, that resin becomes amber, transparent, glowing, eternal. Inside, scientists have found insects frozen mid-flight, pollen from vanished forests, and tiny bubbles of ancient air. Each piece of amber is a time capsule, a memory of an atmosphere that existed when dinosaurs roamed. By studying these trapped gases, we can glimpse the composition of Earth's skies long before humanity appeared. In the warmth of its glow lies the story of preservation, the way life, even in death, seeks to remember itself. The leaves of many water plants, by contrast, have learned to forget the burden of wetness altogether. Watch a drop of rain roll across a lotus leaf. It beads into perfect spheres, gliding away without leaving a trace. This phenomenon, known as the lotus effect, arises from microscopic structures that repel water and dust. Each cell is crowned with tiny wax-coated bumps that prevent moisture from spreading. As droplets roll, they collect dirt, keeping the leaf clean and dry. It's an exquisite marriage of biology and physics, self-maintenance at the smallest scale. Engineers have mimicked it in paints, fabrics, and glass, crafting surfaces that clean themselves with every rainfall. The lotus, revered for purity, demonstrates it literally. Perfection through structure, not effort. Elsewhere, in mountain meadows and forest understories, flowers have discovered a more playful strategy for survival. Take the mountain laurel, whose delicate pink blossoms hide coiled catapults. When a bee lands and disturbs the flower's balance, tension stored in the petals releases, flinging the insect outward, dusting it with pollen in the process. The bee, startled but unharmed, flies to the next bloom, spreading the plant's genetic message with every visit. Other flowers perform similar tricks, launching pollen in bursts of yellow dust, timed with precision and force. Its reproduction turned into spectacle, a mix of humor and physics that blurs the line between motion and purpose. If you could slow time enough, every meadow would look like a field of microscopic fireworks, each bloom releasing its own quiet explosion of life. Taken together, these stories form a map of life's endless improvisation. A tree that changes sex, a poison that protects the shore, grasses that anchor the wind, and flowers that fling their pollinators skyward. Each is a variation on the same theme: adaptability. Plants bend to their world with a grace that no blueprint could design. They rewrite themselves to match the weather, the soil, the hunger of animals, even the touch of light. Every adaptation is an experiment millions of years in the making, refined through patience and necessity. There is also humility in their methods. They waste nothing, they rush rarely, and they never stop adjusting. The manchineel defends a coastline. The grass stores the planet's breath. The lotus cleans itself with elegance finer than any technology. All of it woven together in the long continuity of green thought, the intelligence of photosynthesis, chemistry, and motion, operating quietly beneath our awareness. If the forests are Earth's lungs, then perhaps the grasses are its skin, the latex its blood, the amber its memory, and the lotus its eyes turned toward the sky. Each part of the living planet mirrors something in us: flexibility, danger, endurance, reflection, renewal. To study them is to recognize that we are made of the same patience, the same chemical will to persist. So tonight, imagine the world asleep, trees lowering their branches, grasses breathing with the wind, vines tracing slow arcs towards support, and the ocean whispering against the roots of the manchineel. Beneath the stars, the planet is alive in every cell, its pulse carried by sap and soil alike. And somewhere, in that quiet rhythm of exchange, the story of life continues to unfold, flexible, fragrant, and fierce. In the dim places between roots and soil, a quiet partnership unfolds, one that challenges what we think life even means. Certain fungi and plants share not just nutrients, but light itself. Scientists have found fungal threads living inside leaves that can capture photons, turning them into usable energy, then passing part of that energy back to their host. In return, the plant sends sugars the fungus cannot make on its own. Together, they form a hybrid kind of photosynthesis, a cooperative sun-catching alliance that blurs the line between kingdoms. It's a reminder that even something as ancient as sunlight can be shared, traded, and transformed by collaboration. Where one organism's limits end, another's gifts begin. The boundary between plant and fungus dissolves, and what remains is a shared intelligence made of light. A few miles away, a grove of bamboo whispers a different kind of lesson, one in sound. Stand within a dense bamboo forest, and the world softens. The wind filters through hollow stalks, each culm resonating gently, scattering noise into hush. The air grows thick, almost padded. In cities, bamboo is now planted not just for shade, but for peace, natural walls that absorb and diffuse the roar of traffic. The hollow chambers of each stalk act as miniature echo chambers, breaking sound into smaller and smaller ripples until silence returns. Its architecture written by nature, a structure that soothes. To walk among bamboo is to enter a living cathedral of calm, where even noise learns to bow and fade. The exchange of life continues in stranger ways, still through the intimate cooperation of eating and traveling. Many seeds are built, not to germinate until they've passed through the digestive system of an animal. Birds, bats, elephants, and even fish swallow fruit and carry it across long distances, their stomach acids softening the hard seed coats. When the seeds finally emerge, they land in fresh soil, already fertilized. To the animal, it's a meal. To the plant, it's a ticket to new ground. Every bite, every migration becomes a collaboration, hunger and reproduction intertwined. What we call consumption is, for nature, a form of partnership. The planet remembers its own transformations, and the rocks at the edge of the world tell that story best. Once, millions of years ago, Antarctica was green. Fossils reveal forests of towering conifers and ferns that thrived near the South Pole, enduring months of darkness each year. The climate was warmer then, the air thick with carbon dioxide. Trees adapted to lightless winters and endless summers, creating strange rings of growth in their trunks, wide in the bright season, narrow in the dark. Over eons, ice claimed the continent, freezing those forests in stone. Today, scientists studying their petrified remains can read the history of a planet, constantly reshaping itself. A reminder that climate is not static, and neither is life's determination to follow wherever warmth or light may lead. Beauty, too, hides danger. Some plants craft fruits so toxic that only one or two species can safely eat them. Their colors gleam like jewels, an invitation and a trap. The strychnine tree, the pong-pong tree, the manchineel's deceptive apples, each lures the curious, then punishes the wrong touch or taste. These poisons are not cruelty, they are strategy. By making themselves deadly to most, the plants ensure that only the right pollinators or dispersers will interact with them, preserving their line. In this evolutionary negotiation, danger becomes precision, and beauty becomes a warning painted in sugar and color. On a gentler note, some leaves have learned the art of movement slow, deliberate, graceful. To protect themselves from overheating, they adjust their angle to the sun throughout the day. Morning finds them open wide, greeting the first light. By noon, they tilt or droop, reducing exposure and conserving water. At dusk, they rise again, ready for the cooler hours. This daily dance, invisible in real time, becomes mesmerizing when sped up waves of green tilting and bowing in synchrony. It is the choreography of survival, the rhythm of a world that knows how to balance need and restraint. Even stillness, it turns out, is movement stretched across time. If sunlight guides a leaf, gravity guides the rest. Plants possess tiny sensors called statoliths, grains of dense material that settle inside certain cells, telling the organism which direction is up and which is down. Roots grow toward gravity. Stems grow away from it. Even seeds germinating in total darkness know how to orient themselves, aligning to the pull of Earth itself. It's a biological compass, unerring and invisible. In a way, plants are more grounded than we are, literally and spiritually forever, listening to the silent tug of the planet that birthed them. Within that same pull of Earth lies another force, the energy of storms. When lightning strikes a tree, the current races through its trunk, vaporizing moisture and etching scars deep into the wood. Decades later, if that tree is cut or studied, the mark remains a jagged dark streak, visible in the rings. Dendrochronologists, the scientists who read tree rings like diaries, can trace centuries of weather this way. Drought, fire, frost, even lightning. Each trunk becomes an archive of atmosphere and electricity, a chronicle of every storm it has endured. The forest, when viewed this way, is not just a living thing but a living memory. Every scar is a story, and even the smallest patch of grass carries its own narrative of survival. That sweet, sharp scent that rises when you mow a lawn or walk through a field after rain. It isn't just fragrance, it's chemistry. When grass is cut or bitten, it releases volatile compounds that act as distress signals. Nearby blades detect the scent and respond by toughening their tissues or producing repellents. The aroma also attracts predators of the insects feeding on them, calling in reinforcements from the air. To us, it's nostalgia, the smell of summer. To the grass, it is language. A perfumed alarm, the invisible cry of an ecosystem communicating danger. Each of these vignettes, the fungal alliance that trades sunlight, the bamboo's soft walls of silence, the seeds that travel through the stomachs of beasts, the trees that record the fire of the sky, is a testament to life's unending conversation with its environment. Nothing in nature exists alone. Every sound, scent, spark, and scar is part of a larger dialogue that stretches from soil to sky. And in that dialogue, we can find something of ourselves. We, too, share energy, send signals, build walls to hold back noise, travel through cycles of consumption and renewal, carry the memories of storms in our bones. Perhaps that is why these stories resonate, because we are not separate from this green intelligence. We are its continuation. When you next breathe in the scent of cut grass or step into the hush of a bamboo grove, remember, you are standing inside a conversation that has been going on for hundreds of millions of years. The earth is speaking softly, through chemistry and motion, through roots and light. All we have to do is listen long enough, quietly enough to understand that its language has always included us. In the desert, survival begins with light. Under a sun so fierce it can bleach bone, many plants wear armor made not of thorns, but of silver. The sagebrush, the desert lavender, and countless others are coated in fine, silvery hairs that shimmer in the heat. These tiny structures reflect sunlight, scattering it before it can burn the leaf's delicate tissues. At the same time, the hairs trap a thin layer of cool air close to the surface, creating a personal climate of shade and stillness. From afar, the desert glows pale and ghostly, not from lifelessness, but from these glimmering defenses. Each silver leaf is a mirror to the sun, turning what could be a weapon into a source of protection. Beneath their soft sheen lies an ancient lesson. Sometimes, to survive the heat, you must learn to shine it away. Beneath the soil, another strategy unfolds, one of storage and sustenance. Roots, swollen with starch, form the great underground vaults of the plant world. Cassava, yam, and sweet potato. These are the quiet giants of agriculture, swollen reservoirs of energy gathered drop by drop from the sun. In the tropics, a single yam can weigh hundreds of pounds, enough to feed a family for weeks. These roots are survival incarnate, food for the plant during drought, food for humanity through famine. They are the planet's buried currency, traded between species for millions of years. The next time you hold a potato or a piece of cassava, you are holding the memory of a plant's patience, months, sometimes years, of saving energy beneath the ground until the world above is ready again. But not all cooperation in the soil is kind. Some trees fight invisible wars beneath our feet. Through their roots, they release chemicals that slow or even kill competing plants, a process known as allelopathy. The black walnut is notorious for this. Its roots exude juglone, a toxin that seeps into the surrounding soil, stunting the growth of neighbors. To human eyes, a walnut grove looks serene. Underground, it's a chemical battlefield, each tree carving out space for its own future. Yet even in this quiet war, there is balance. Such chemical negotiations shape entire ecosystems, determining which species thrive and which retreat. Forests are not just communities, they are competitions, finely tuned by evolution, each root both giver and guard. For some plants, the entire story of life narrows to a single moment of release. The agave, sometimes called the century plant, spends decades drawing sunlight into its thick, spined leaves, storing every trace of energy it can. Then, one year, the balance shifts. It sends up a stalk taller than a house, covered in golden blossoms that reach for the sky. The bloom lasts only weeks. Then, having given everything, the plant dies, its final act a cathedral of flowers feeding bees and birds. Around its base, small offshoots begin to grow, inheriting the energy of their parent. It is a spectacular surrender, death transformed into continuity. To witness it is to see the logic of nature laid bare. Every ending feeds the beginning that follows. Long before such complexity existed, before forests and flowers and fruit, there was moss, the first green colonizer of stone. Hundreds of millions of years ago, when the continents were barren and raw, moss crept across damp rock faces, clinging to cracks and collecting dust. With time, its roots broke down the stone, mixing minerals with its own decaying matter to form the first soil. That thin skin of earth became the foundation of every future forest. Today, moss still thrives in the harshest places, tundras, cliffs, rooftops, reviving from dryness with a single drop of rain. When you see a patch of moss glowing green after a storm, you are looking at the same kind of life that first turned rock into garden, patience into possibility. Plants have always been shapeshifters. Even the shape of a leaf can tell the story of change. In the early years of its life, a eucalyptus tree bears small, round leaves that drink sunlight close to the ground. As it grows taller, its leaves elongate into narrow blades that catch light more efficiently and resist wind high in the canopy. The passion flower vine, too, alters its leaf shape as it climbs, each transformation a small adaptation to new surroundings. This phenomenon, called heteroblasty, reminds us that identity in nature is fluid. Growth is not repetition, it's reinvention. A plant does not simply age, it evolves, one leaf at a time, rewriting itself to meet the needs of its own ascent. At the far end of this spectrum of growth stand the giants, the living monuments of the planet. A single old-growth tree can hold more carbon than an entire grove of younger ones. Within its immense trunk are centuries of stored atmosphere, carbon drawn down by leaves long vanished and locked safely in wood. Its roots may spread across acres, linking fungi and seedlings in networks that outlive generations. Lose one such titan, and it's not just wood that disappears, but balance. The carbon it once contained returns to the sky, and a microcosm of life loses its shelter. Standing before a massive redwood or an ancient fig, you feel not just scale, but stewardship. These giants are living reservoirs, holding both climate and history in their rings. To protect them is to protect the rhythm of breath that unites air, forest, and human alike. From silver leaves to swollen roots, from chemical duels to sacrificial blooms, from moss to mountain-sized trees, the story of the green world is the story of adaptation made beautiful. Every shimmer, every scent, every silent act of growth carries the logic of resilience. Plants do not complain, they adjust. They find shade, they find water. They turn the heat into brilliance, the rock into soil, the end into renewal. If we could slow time enough to see it all unfold, the planet would not seem static at all. It would shimmer like a living tide, roots moving beneath deserts, leaves tilting to the sun, flowers flinging themselves toward destiny. The earth is not quiet. It hums in chlorophyll and pulse. In every breath of air we share with it, and as long as silver leaves catch the light, as long as moss carpets, stone and giants stand tall, the rhythm of that hum continues the patient, shining heartbeat of a living planet that never stops adapting, never stops beginning again. The wind is invisible, yet trees can feel its weight. Every gust leaves a signature, a push, a bend, a pressure deep within the grain of the wood. Over time, trees learn to read it. They grow shorter and thicker where the wind is fierce, anchoring themselves like quiet engineers. Their trunks widen in the direction of stress. Their leaves turn to minimize drag, shifting angles so the air can pass without tearing. In the open plains, this adaptation gives rise to sturdy, low crowns. In calm valleys, branches grow tall and delicate. Each form is a negotiation between force and flexibility, physics and survival. You can see the history of wind written in every curve of a trunk, every lean in a branch, a long, slow conversation between wood and air that has lasted for centuries. Beneath the desert floor, a different kind of dialogue takes place between root and water. The mesquite tree, for instance, drives its taproot deep into the earth, sometimes more than 150 feet, deeper than a 10-story building is tall. Down there, in the cool dark, it finds hidden aquifers that sustain it through years of drought. Those roots do more than drink. They anchor the land, stitching soil together against wind and erosion. In the harshest landscapes, depth becomes survival. The desert, though dry on the surface, hides rivers below, and the plants that reach them are the quiet custodians of endurance. When you see a mesquite standing alone on the horizon, it is not a solitary being, it is the visible tip of a vast, unseen empire of roots. In the rainforests of the Amazon, there are whispers of a tree that walks. The walking palm seems to step slowly across the forest floor, sprouting new roots in the direction of sunlight, while letting the older ones die off. Over time, it may shift its trunk several feet, inching toward the brightest gaps in the canopy. Whether it truly moves or simply adapts its stance remains debated. But the story captures something true. Even rooted beings can change position, seeking light in patient increments. The forest is full of myths that turn out to be metaphors. Not literal motion, but resilience made visible. Fire, too, becomes a sculptor of resilience. In regions prone to wildfire, many plants have evolved to depend on it. Their seeds sleep beneath the soil, encased in hard shells that only crack under heat or smoke. When flames pass, they awaken, sprouting through the nutrient-rich ash into a world cleared of competition. Eucalyptus trees keep buds protected under layers of bark, ready to burst into green once the danger fades. Pines drop cones that only open after fire, releasing seeds into freshly cleansed soil. It's a rhythm older than memory. Destruction followed by bloom. The forest doesn't fear the flame, it speaks its language, turning ruin into renewal. Even the gentlest ecosystems carry traces of predation and opportunity. High in the tropics, bromeliads collect rainwater in the folds of their leaves, creating tiny ponds. Insects, frogs, and even small lizards find refuge there, and sometimes they don't make it out. When these creatures die, their bodies decay in the water, releasing nutrients that the plant absorbs through its leaves. The bromeliad is not a true carnivore, yet it benefits from death all the same, a quiet recycler turning tragedy into sustenance. Life, here, wastes nothing. Even misfortune feeds something else. In the mountains of Meghalaya, India, people have taken the patience of trees and turned it into architecture. For centuries, the Khasi and Jaintia tribes have guided the roots of living fig trees across streams, weaving and training them until they form natural bridges. Over decades, the roots grow thicker and stronger, eventually creating pathways sturdy enough for hundreds to cross. These living bridges are self-healing as time passes. The roots knit tighter, renewing themselves. It is a collaboration between human and tree, between intention and growth. Standing on one of these bridges, you feel something deeper than engineering a living handshake across generations, an alliance of patience and purpose. In the hottest deserts, even photosynthesis must evolve. Many plants abandon their leaves entirely, transforming their stems into solar panels. Cacti, euphorbias, and other succulents turn their green flesh into the site of light capture, using waxy skins and ribbed surfaces to minimize evaporation. Their spines, though fierce in appearance, are modified leaves, not weapons so much as shadows, breaking sunlight into manageable pieces. Their thick stems store water and air, pulsing gently with life. What looks rigid and armored is, in truth, an exquisite balance between protection and efficiency. The mathematics of survival written in geometry and green. Then there is bamboo, the timekeeper of centuries. Some species bloom only once every 60, 80, or even 120 years. When the moment arrives, entire forests flower in unison. No matter where they are in the world, a synchronization so exact it seems supernatural. After this grand event, the plants pour their remaining energy into seed and then die, leaving behind an abundance of food for animals, followed by sudden scarcity. The phenomenon resets ecosystems, cycling life and death on a timetable that dwarfs human memory. The mystery of how bamboos keep such cosmic calendars remains unsolved. They count years not in seasons, but in generations. And while some plants root themselves firmly in soil, others thrive without it at all. Orchids, tillandsias, and countless epiphytes cling to tree branches or hang in open air, drawing moisture and nutrients from humidity, rain, and dust. Their roots are not anchors in earth, but collectors of breath, delicate, spongy, silver green. In rainforests, they drape from trunks like veils, turning the air itself into soil. This same principle has inspired modern hydroponics, allowing humans to grow food in space and cities without ground. These air plants remind us that life doesn't always need to dig deep. Sometimes it floats, taking only what it needs from passing clouds. From wind to flame, from walking trees to bridges of roots, the plant world reveals a single, unbroken truth. Adaptation is motion, even when it happens in stillness. The wind reshapes trunks, the fire renews forests, the desert polishes leaves to silver. Roots dive, stems rise, seeds sleep and wake, and the air itself becomes nourishment. What seems silent is full of conversation between wind and wood, light and leaf, heat and water. The earth is always whispering through its plants, teaching that survival is not about resistance, but about rhythm. Bending when the wind blows, rooting deeper when the rain fails, blooming only when the world is ready. Every trunk you pass, every blade of grass beneath your feet carries that wisdom, a message in motion, written over eons. Endure, adapt, and quietly, beautifully, keep growing. To the human eye, a meadow in bloom is a wash of color: blues, reds, yellows, and whites. But to a bee, that same meadow glows with secret patterns, painted in light we cannot see. Many flowers bear ultraviolet markings, invisible to us, radiant pathways that lead directly to the nectar hidden at their center. These are the runway lights of the insect world. Patterns that say, "This way, friend," carved not by pigment but by physics. The petals reflect and absorb UV light in intricate designs, guiding pollinators with precision. What looks like a simple daisy to us is, in truth, a compass rose of energy to an insect. This is one of nature's most elegant symmetries. Two species sharing a conversation in color, one that has been going on for tens of millions of years. The bee seeing what we cannot, and the flower shining just for them. Beneath the forest floor, another form of artistry unfolds, one that happens not in light, but in chemistry. Some trees change the very soil they stand in. Pine needles, for instance, fall and decompose into acid, slowly shifting the earth beneath them to favor their own kind. The pH of that ground may drop so low that other species can no longer thrive. Oaks, by contrast, enrich their soil, while eucalyptus releases oils that discourage competitors. Through such alchemy, plants become engineers, crafting microclimates perfectly tuned to their needs. In shaping their environment, they shape the fate of entire ecosystems. Fungi, insects, and microbes adapting in response. The forest is not a passive backdrop. It is a living laboratory, a place where every fallen leaf and root whisper reshapes the world below. And then there is one of nature's most astonishing machines, the tree's hydraulic heart. From roots buried in darkness, water climbs through narrow vessels of wood, rising hundreds of feet into the air without pumps or engines. This feat, known as transpiration, relies on cohesion, the way water molecules cling to each other, and on the pull created when moisture evaporates from the leaves above. It's a perfect chain, each droplet lifting the next, all the way to the canopy. In the tallest redwoods, that pull can move a column of water higher than a skyscraper. This silent ascent happens constantly, millions of gallons circulating through forests every day. It is the bloodstream of the planet, the pulse that keeps every leaf alive. In the Amazon, even the rivers join in the act of creation. When the rains come and the water rises, vast stretches of forest flood, blurring the line between land and river. Fish swim among trunks and roots, eating fallen fruits that drop into the water. The seeds inside those fruits pass unharmed through the fish's bellies, then fall elsewhere, already planted and fertilized. It's an elegant exchange, the forest feeding the river, and the river returning the favor by spreading the forest. In this flooded world, birds dive like fish, monkeys feed above, and trees bloom underwater. The Amazon is not simply a forest, it is an organism that breathes with water, its lungs expanding and contracting with the seasons. Even on a much smaller scale, plants have their own weapons and allies. Some leaves are covered in fine, sticky hairs that trap small insects. These are not true carnivorous plants. They do not digest their victims, but they benefit from the decay. Nutrients leach into the soil or wash down to their roots with rain. The trapped insects also attract predators like ladybugs and spiders, who feed on them and, in turn, protect the plant from leaf-eating pests. What looks like a defensive trick becomes a miniature food web, a self-sustaining balance of life and death woven across a single leaf surface. In the plant kingdom, even passive defenses can ripple outward into entire ecosystems. From these same chemical defenses have come some of humanity's greatest medicines. The foxglove's toxin, digitalis, can stop a heart or heal one. When measured carefully, willow bark carries salicin, the ancestor of aspirin. The rosy periwinkle of Madagascar hides compounds that became life-saving treatments for leukemia. For millions of years, plants evolved poisons to fend off predators. We, in turn, learned to refine them, to turn danger into cure. It is a delicate partnership. Nature's blades dulled into scalpels. Every vial in a pharmacy carries the echo of a leaf's defense, the record of a slow chemical war that ended in peace. At the edge of this green spectrum sits a kingdom that is not quite plant, not quite animal, the algae. Some species photosynthesize by day and hunt by night, capturing smaller organisms for energy. Others live symbiotically inside corals or sea slugs, merging identities so completely that it becomes hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. These shape-shifting cells blur the boundaries of biology, reminders that life is not a set of neat categories, but a continuum of possibility. The first algae transformed Earth's atmosphere billions of years ago, releasing oxygen into the air. The ones that remain today continue that ancient work, shimmering between definitions, carrying both sunlight and appetite in the same fragile bodies. In contrast to these microscopic shapeshifters stand the elders of the living world, the trees that have witnessed human history come and go. Bristlecone pines, olive trees, and yews can live for thousands of years. Their rings record more than time. They record weather, wet years, dry years, volcanic ash, and cosmic radiation, all carved into wood. Scientists read these rings like pages in a diary, tracing patterns of climate long before written language existed. Each trunk becomes a living archive, storing both memory and prophecy. A forest of old trees is, in a sense, a library not of books but of patience. Among them stands Methuselah, a bristlecone pine high in California's White Mountains, twisted and gnarled by wind, scarred by frost. It is nearly 5,000 years old, older than the pyramids, older than most civilizations. It has survived by growing slowly, conserving its strength, letting its dead wood protect what still lives within. Year after year, it endures storms that would shatter younger trees, its needles small but tenacious. To stand near it is to feel the weight of time compressed into silence. Methuselah is not merely alive, it is a living measure of endurance, a heartbeat that has spanned entire eras of human history. Its lesson is simple, profound, and humbling. Grow slowly, endure much, and let your stillness speak. From ultraviolet petals to ancient roots, from poisons turned to medicine to rivers that plant forests, the story of the green world is the story of interconnectedness. Plants communicate in light and chemistry, in water and sound, in death and rebirth. They engineer the air, rewrite the soil, and shape the future of the planet with every breath they take. Beneath our feet and above our heads, a vast system hums unseen but always working, always alive. And if we listen closely enough, we may begin to hear it. A language written in rings and leaves, in the shimmer of ultraviolet and the rhythm of rain. A conversation the earth has been holding with itself since long before we arrived, and one that, if we're wise, we will learn to join rather than interrupt. Near the edges of boiling springs, where the air shimmers with heat and the ground steams like breath, life persists. Tufts of moss and strands of algae cling to stones slick with mineral water, glowing green and gold in temperatures that would destroy most cells. Within them are special proteins, heat shock molecules that fold and refold with uncanny precision, shielding their fragile chemistry from collapse. These organisms are called thermophiles, and they hint at something extraordinary, that life is not delicate, but versatile. Where we see limits, it finds footholds. The same resilience that lets moss survive in a near-boiling pool could one day sustain life beneath the crust of Mars or in the icy geysers of Europa. Standing beside a hot spring, it's easy to imagine the same miracle that began here, billions of years ago, still reaching outward, a green whisper in the story of the cosmos. Far gentler but no less ingenious are the leaves that float. Aquatic plants like lilies and lotuses are masters of buoyancy. Their broad, delicate leaves are laced with microscopic air pockets that trap bubbles between their layers, keeping them level on the water's surface. It's a perfect design. The leaf hovers at the interface between two worlds, its underside cooled by the water, its upper skin collecting sunlight and breathing air. Each bubble acts as a miniature flotation chamber, ensuring the leaf never sinks. The lotus adds a further touch of brilliance, a waxy coating that repels water, letting droplets roll off like liquid pearls. To us, it's beauty. To the plant, it's physics refined to perfection. The lotus leaf is nature's quiet engineer, transforming air and water into balance. Even the act of self-defense can take on the elegance of geometry. Inside certain leaves, those of taro, Dieffenbachia, and many a tropical cousin, lie tiny crystalline needles of calcium oxalate, shaped like glassy spears. To an animal that bites into them, the crystals pierce and sting, delivering an instant warning, "Don't eat me." To humans, these same crystals explain why raw taro burns the tongue, or why some ornamental plants are beautiful but untouchable. It's defense at the microscopic scale, precise and relentless. Nature doesn't always need claws or thorns. Sometimes it hides its armor within, invisible until tested. And then, as if to remind us that defense and renewal are not opposites, the earth performs one of its grandest spectacles: the mass flowering. Once every few decades, vast stretches of bamboo, wildflowers, or desert plants bloom in astonishing unison, an event guided not by season, but by an inner clock encoded within each seed. Across entire valleys, buds open simultaneously, covering hillsides in brief waves of color. After the flowers fade, seeds scatter, the plants die, and silence returns. To witness, it is to see the pulse of time itself, a rhythm longer than any human lifespan, synchronized across generations. Each bloom is a note in a biological symphony, perfectly timed and fleeting, a reminder that even chaos can move in harmony. Within that great rhythm, even a single leaf can remember. The mimosa plant, known for folding its leaves when touched, shows what some scientists call plant memory. If touched repeatedly in a short span, its reaction slows. After a while, it stops folding at all, as if it has learned the stimulus is harmless. Wait a few hours, and it forgets, returning to sensitivity. No brain, no nerves, just chemistry. Yet the behavior mimics learning and rest. The plant saves energy by distinguishing what matters from what doesn't. In this soft intelligence lies something profound: awareness without consciousness, experience without thought. It is the memory of the world written in water pressure and cells. Even when broken, the green world insists on returning. After storms, branches of willow, fig, and banyan fall to the ground and root again. Given time, they grow into new trees, clones of their parent yet independent, forming living colonies that can outlast centuries of upheaval. Entire groves can arise this way, born not from seed but from persistence. Where destruction visits, regeneration follows, as if the forest knows that loss is temporary. Life, for plants, is rarely a straight line. It is a circle, a cycle of fall and flourish, decay and rebirth, repeating endlessly beneath our feet. And so, as this long journey through the green world draws to a close, we return to the truth that has unfolded leaf by leaf. Plants are the architects of life itself. They capture sunlight and transform it into food, create the air we breathe, shape the soil we walk upon, and weave the climate that sustains us. Every forest, grassland, and desert is a record of their innovation, a collection of answers to the question of survival. Yet in all their brilliance, they remain vulnerable to drought, to fire, to our unthinking hands. Their strength is quiet, their defenses slow, and so their greatest need is not our pity, but our respect, a recognition that their patience is what makes our existence possible. To look at a tree is to look at time, chemistry, and faith intertwined. It stands between earth and sky, turning light into life, endlessly, humbly, beautifully. Now, as the story softens toward night, imagine yourself back in the forest. The day's heat fades. The air is cool and damp. Beneath the soil, roots shift in slow communion, trading whispers of sugar and signal. The leaves above you settle into stillness. The forest itself seems to breathe. Close your eyes, and the sound of wind becomes a pulse, the rhythm of sap and air and heart. You are part of it, a small movement in the endless green orchestra of Earth. Thank you for listening, for wandering through this quiet world with wonder. May your thoughts drift like seeds, your dreams unfold like leaves in light. Until next time, let the forest hum around you. Let the night cradle you in calm and sleep well beneath the breathing trees.